But here, we'll just do a quick introduction of the two of us here, and before we jump on into the conversation. Sound good, David?
Absolutely, sir.
Well, I'll let the guest please introduce themselves first, just because I've been the face and voice for Brilliant for quite some time now, and probably people know me, but we'll pass it over to you, my esteemed guest. Please go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us a bit about your business before we delve deeper into the conversation.
Sure, I'll be brief, or at least if
No,
that's
no, we got
possible.
time. We can
If
be
that's
long-winded. That's
possible.
what this one is. I don't have, it's nice to hear somebody else's voice instead of my own.
You're kind. This business, ESD Technologies, is primarily a company we developed back in 2016, focused on a space that was being vacated by a great many integrators, just primarily production build. So we were doing a couple thousand houses a year for 8 to 10 years. And when you're focused on that channel as a business channel, you recognize that those are people you want to grow into dependency, for lack of a better way to put it, on quality service and information about technology instead of letting them run free in social media land. And so we chose that avenue, and Brilliant was an answer to a prayer. Up until that time, every home control, automation product, whatever it happened to be, smart technology for those buyers had a recurring cost to it, had a programmer dependency to it, had a black box type of integration, for it. And a lot of our clients didn't want that. Even the wealthy ones that we had put stuff in for prior to this business were asking us to remove that stuff and go with more mainstream, easy to use, their entire family kind of thing. And that's Brilliant was the answer to that recipe, and put it in 9,000 plus, almost 10,000 homes over the last 10 years, and had great success with it, and continue to do so. Prior to that company, I was 40 years in the business. Worked for several manufacturers in marketing and product development over 20 years. Mitsubishi, Polk Audio, Sony, the list goes, Sensory Science Corporation, right? The list could go. And then prior to that, 20 years working in the other side of the business with everything from retail with Macy's all the way through to high-end custom integration to audiophile sales to whatever. And I also owned, thankfully, a manufacturing business for some time, which gave me a unique perspective as well. And we made loudspeakers and amplifiers, and I have a few patents in that. And now I'm just an old tree in Dallas, Texas, trying to help some people out.
No, but that's great background. I think it also, if there was ever a time to toot your own horn, David, now's the time to do it, just because, we have a lot of new partners that are coming on board, really kind of understand how they can make their mark in this business and what you have up in here. It's not just a hat rack. You have a lot of great information in there. So I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit more today as we delve into the topic. But a quick introduction of myself for those of you that have not met me. Ryan Okimoto, but I go by Oki. I head up essentially the sales enablement for Brilliant. So everything from our webinar series, training and education, customer success, project management, deployment, consultation on jobs. If you have a large job consultation you need help on, that can run through me as well. We're here to help you out with all that stuff. But been with Brilliant for 6+ years now. I'm not quite at David's level of seasoning, but I do have 15+ years in the smart home space. What is it? Before this, I was with Wi-Fi startup Eero, so I can answer Wi-Fi questions for you. Music startup Sonos. I tease that it's a little bit of an incestuous industry. We all kind of jump around to the different products, but I'm lucky in the sense that a lot of great people I've worked with that have gone on to work with a lot of other great companies as well. But gadgets and gizmos and tech, that's kind of our little expertise and what we're here to do today. So with that, the whole topic of today's conversation of why we have a special guest, David Burton, is really, maximizing your business with builders, and owning those clients, not just from the builder, but also those homeowners as well to build them up. So a lot that we're going to talk about and really peel back the onion and what's available for you, how to win that business, how to secure that business, tips and tricks, really understanding the full gamut of how to make them happy and build a business around it. That's what we're going to be, using David's expertise to really help you set up a playbook around why Brilliant makes sense, why it can make you more profitable and help you secure more jobs. So that's what we're talking about today. And I guess really a great place to start this off, David, is, a lot of our partners are trying to land builders. Even Brilliant, we're trying to land builders. What have you found is really a good strategy in making them really want to say yes to you? Because there's a lot of different integrators that are vying for that business with the builders. What have you found to be successful?
Great question. And while I would profess to give you some answers, I don't know the secret, or I'd have a lot more builders than I have. At the end of the day, I think there's three things that anybody who plays in the space understands about builders, and I'm going to kind of tier them. Right? So you have the
Perfect.
production guys, the crackerjack guys who just put boxes on the ground, 40 of them, 50 of them, 80 of them in the community at any given time. And they'll have 4 or 5 plans, but it's churn and burn, basically, as quickly as they can put them up and sell them and get rid of them. The next level I'm going to say would be semi-custom. And you'll see builders that play in production, but primarily understand their space as an upscale product where clients are now allowed to choose a particular package of appliances or a color scheme to their house or specific materials that they want. Right? Not changing structure, but focused on several upgrades.
Mm.
Third level, of course, is the custom, and that's where you're pretty much doing whatever you want, right? And then beyond that, there is a fourth, which is more of a developer partnership kind of thing, where they're building to rent, or they're coordinating with multiple builders in a particular community as a planned community. Those kinds of things, I think, are different than what I'm going to speak to at this moment.
Okay.
First, when you're dealing with production side, we all know it's a cost issue, it's a pricing issue, and they only played in the smart home space because their competition played in that space. And the only reason they put wire in the house is because back then they thought they needed it. Now we discover that a lot of the builders are moving in a direction away from that, as though that's an answer to any problems or costs they may have. In addition, they're reducing involvement with smart home because either they've been burned or they don't believe that it's adding any value and bringing customers to their build. And what I would say is it's all reactionary to market condition. It's not real. The example I would give you there is if I said to you that I wanted you to come over for Thanksgiving, when you and your family came over, I had a pile of ingredients laid out on the counter for you and said, so glad you could make it, cook your meal. Right? That's pretty much what the builders have been doing to the clients at the production level. They give them an ingredient here, a doorbell, a this, a that, and it has no value and it's a waste of their money. And they're slowly discovering that because, in addition, they pay service costs and related other problems. So, my first belief is you have to go in with a meal, a complete solution. You have to make it somewhat affordable. And if nothing else, you test the water with options. So our first pass was to take Brilliant and Ring, Sonos and Kwikset and Ecobee and put it in a box and hand it to the builder and say, if you're going to put all these things in, why not let us do it? We'll do it after the client takes possession of the house, when their internet's established. We'll get them programmed up so they enjoy the experience. And that, we believe, is where the success came. Where it failed was in the place where they gave this device, that device, these two devices. Because eventually, as an example, Brilliant lived in some of those houses as a glorified light switch for $500, right? And people never really built on that ecosystem. So I would first say you want to be careful on the price side, but you want to come in a way that competes with the electrician, and you want to provide a upgrade package This is a smart home system, a complete solution. Here's 6 ingredients. We'll put it all in at once. The client buy it as an upgrade. And then slowly over time, the builder may decide it's a good enough differentiator where they will put it in every house. We experience that in multiple communities.
Hmm.
Of
Yeah,
that success.
I'm really glad you used that analogy of the Thanksgiving dinner because, when I try and describe what the modern smart home is right now, it's not quite in that deliverable package of smart home yet. It's a home full of smart devices.
Correct.
That's what they've delivered. They haven't delivered a smart home. That's where your expertise delivering the package of, hey, let's wait till internet set up, then we can come and configure everything. That's what makes a smart home because a home is only as smart as the kind of, your team is only as fast as the slowest person type of analogy there. So if it's not easy for my parents who come over, it needs to be easy for every single person that walks through that front door, from myself to my wife to the parents to the friends' kids. Everyone should be able to interact with a home. And if it's not at that level, is the home really a smart home? No, it's just a home full of smart devices. And that's kind of it, at least where I think it's kind of, challenging for a lot of these builders to understand, but you bring clarity to that space.
Yes. And I also would say that Brilliant organized a model home program for me back in the early days before they had anything really developed,
Hmm.
providing the complete solution in the model that would allow the client to experience it in a house that looked just like the one they were buying.
Yeah.
That was another big deal.
What did we provide you? Refresh my memory because it's been.
Well, not only did we have marketing POP, but we had a two-gang Brilliant device
Yep.
and a dimmer, which
Hmm.
came later, because of course it wasn't there for the first few years that we did the Brilliant product. And we also put in a Sonos Era 100 in the kitchen area, which previously was just a one.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to remember what else. Um, oh, and an Ecobee thermostat and a Quickset Halo door lock.
Hmm. And that
And
was
that's
kind of
pretty
the
much
package.
the list of, yeah, initial ingredients. And we've since added to that. We've put in smart things, hubs now, and one of my beliefs is that people don't really understand the benefit of that smart tech unless it does stuff without them,
Hmm.
without their involvement. Otherwise, it's them being smart, right? For lack of a better way to put that. So I tell the builder, if you're going to put it in the model, you want at least enough dimmers the first floor that when you walk through the front door, the lights in the hallway light up all the way to the kitchen, an experience that they wouldn't ordinarily have. And the fact that there's no cost associated with making that experience happen, and the fact that you don't need a programmer and there's no recurring charge tied to it, those are all big things that I think were catalysts for the builder to get into the space.
Yeah, at least what I've seen is the builders don't like to pass any sort of long-term contract onto their home buyers. It's
Right.
something they've generally tried to avoid. So to have an experience that, selfishly from our side, has no extra gear, no extra hubs, no extra wires, no long-term contracts, no monthly fees, nothing hidden in a server closet, nothing, going back to any sort of server room or anything like that. That's the custom look and value that people are looking for. Like not even have any cords on the countertop or something that's plugged in. That's a custom experience. So, have you seen over the last, 7 years, 7 to 10 years, what that sort of package has kind of tweaked and changed in your eyes, or has it for the most part remained the same?
The only reason that it has remained similar to what it was is
Hmm.
because our ecosystem has not expanded enough to bring more devices into it. We
Hmm.
have, of course, expanded its ecosystem through the use of smart things to gain access to products that we know the consumer is buying that are not yet to our device. But, primarily, I think they're motorized shades would be an example of that. That's a big category for
Yeah.
us in the integration business, but it's still not really native to us yet in Brilliant. We use the Lutron as an example through smart things to gain access, right?
Hmm.
In much the same fashion, there's new devices coming out all the time that will be adopted by the general public, and it takes time to get those to the back end side of the product. But I think overall, if you play within the core areas that you know the home buyers are living in, examples I give there would be, Sonos for entertainment, and Blue Sound will be a product that I think we're going to enter into in the not too distant future, so that there's a competitor in that
Hmm.
space. We have a number of different light products that now work. We have a number of different door locks that work, a number of different thermostats that work. So it's pretty much that. It's a virtual showroom. If you've seen anything about what's going on in that market, you walk into the house and anything you experience as a visitor or a home buyer or even a homeowner
Hmm.
should occur. And pretty much Brilliant can do that. It'll adjust the temperature for occupancy. It'll adjust the lighting for occupancy. It'll play music for you and give you control of that music at the actual device itself. Um, Security,
Hmm.
camera systems. It's all there. The problem is, as I say, the expansion of that universe. The more of it we're able to pull into the ecosystem, the better off we'll be. And the good news is, we don't charge for it.
We
So
do
I'm getting
not.
these firmware updates every couple of weeks, and my device is growing without me even playing with it.
Yeah, that is of course nice. Not to worry about anything being obsolete. The first control we ever sold back in the fall of 2000, I want to say 18. That can do everything that one of these can do today out of the box, which is great. So the joys of software are always getting better over time because there inevitably is always going to be that fear of, oh, what about this? Should I wait to buy? What's the next thing that's going to come out? Like, no, it doesn't matter. It all ties in together. So I think that is something we try to make clear with the builders too. Of like, hey, what are your pain points? Are you worried about these certain things of whether technology quote unquote being outdated? What are those pain points that you help the builders kind of alleviate and get over? In your opinion, for technology specifically, what are you able to deliver?
I think there's twofold. First is that,
Mhm.
besides price, the second and third biggest catalysts for builders in any business that they're in is reviews. They want really good quality reviews because one bad review will kill them.
Mhm.
Third thing they want is no maintenance. Once they build it and you close on the house, they don't want to see you again. So we're aware of that, and both of those played into this philosophy, for lack of a better way to put that. I really believe that where we fail, or where the builders fail, is in understanding that while low voltage and this type of tech may be at the bottom of what they need to build the house, it's probably the second or third most important thing to the client when they take possession of the house. So flipping that and elevating it is your biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's really great point there because it does feel like when we talk to builders, it's like, it's kind of an afterthought, or they heard one bad story, so then they're afraid to make that jump. When the reality is, when it's done and it's executed well, that's one of the top things that they're putting as on a review. Like, I walked in and all my lights turned on, the automation was perfect. The doors automatically locking saved me because I forgot to lock my door. Like those types of things that make a house a home really, are what's going to shine. No one's like, man, like this was the best thing ever because I had this vertical slatted wall. It's the house. I threw that up. Like one of those types of things. Like, is it cool? Yeah, but is it the thing that makes me most excited about my home? Probably not. But it's the tech, the things we get excited for. That's what we're going to be reviewing on the things we're interacting with. Like, cool, I can love my countertops, but it's just not quite the same as the things that can deliver some wow and amazing experiences that prompts them to actually write the good review. That's going to have them talk to their neighbor, talk to their friends in the other neighborhoods about the technology. So I
I would
love how
I would
you,
also I'd like to add something to that, and
please.
that is the belief that what you don't know is what kills you,
Hmm.
right? And you don't know to ask about it. And I think that's the tipping point that we're at societally in relation to this category, meaning clients, when they hear the term smart home or automation or even tech, it's foreign to them. They don't really understand what that is. I think a retraining is almost necessary. And the example I would give there is when you get in your car, you go to start it, it's either a key or a button because you've done it so many times. You've been conditioned to look for that, right? But if you had to tell the car to start, you'd probably sit there for about 5 minutes trying to figure it out before you said anything,
Yep.
right? Unless you were told to do so. And for me, that's the problem with smart technology. It's also the problem with builders. If you put, forgive me, if you put a device in a client's home that they've never had before, that device, and the example I would give there is a camera.
Hmm.
After about 6 months, if you've never trained them on it, you just put it up and showed them what it could do and how cool it was. After about 6 months, I don't even know that they still know it's there. I've seen it happen with security systems. I have clients who would receive a bill 12 months later, and they're wondering why they got billed. They didn't even know they were being monitored. It's it's that kind of thing. They all want it. They
Hmm.
just don't know how to integrate it or make it something that's usable. So to your point, that meal, that conservative thing that I was talking about in a box, is really the best way to crack the umbrella. Because
Hmm.
everybody wants one thing, but having it actually do something for them in the background when they're not having to touch it or be trained on it, that's a totally different thing. That's what makes them gravitate to the game.
Yeah, it's the, I would call it the sticky experiences, the things that are the simplest to use that do get used the most often inside the home. I think for me, the big one that stands out as a former Sonos employee, I live in 1,100 square feet. I have 9 rooms of Sonos and like 17 total pieces, which is an egregious amount, I know. But I usually leave my slider on my two-gang control in my kitchen. I remap. This is my Sonos volume. 100% of the time, just because I don't always want to pull out my phone. My wife definitely doesn't want to pull out her phone. I want quick access to the music because I'm always playing music in here. Just, hey, let me just turn it down real quick. And I walk up, boop, and I'm good. That is such a simple and easy experience that I love. And people are like, oh, geez, that's kind of nice to be able to do that. And then you don't have to worry about your anxiety device all the time. Push notification, push notification. You've gotten calls. Something's always coming up. Like that's one of those sticky experiences that I think shows a ton of value. Are there other, I'd say in your eyes, David, that are good sticky experiences to show off that really resonate with the builders?
Similar to what you were just talking about, I like the lighting thing. My wife comes home and pulls into the garage, and if it's after 5:30 or 6 o'clock at this point of our time zone, holy cow, man!
You're a popular
Turn it
man.
off. Okay, I'm a popular guy. It's horrible. Um, anyway, I'll call them back. So the end of the story is that you want the lights to come on so that she doesn't feel like she's walking into an empty house. So literally, this will come from the garage all the way up the hall, all the way through the family room, all the way to the kitchen. That she feels like the house is occupied. She's more comfortable walking in. Very secure thing. In addition, the door lock. I will
Yeah.
have the door lock locked behind her after she comes through. You can even have the door lock open when she pulls into the garage.
Hmm.
There's any number of things. Sorry about that. I'll throw the phone away. I don't know what else.
you,
Turn it off.
you own a business. I get it. I
Yeah.
don't own a business. My phone still goes a whole bunch. Now, you mentioned earlier, running it in a like a model home or a model home program with the builder. How do you then take that from the next level of, hey, we're going to be an option in a model home to how can I secure this business for every home that you have? So I'm in touch with all of your homeowners. What is that sort of journey and process? Because that's the hard one that really takes your business to the next level of like, hey, like we're doing okay, like pay the bills and we're making some money, but how do you thrive? How do you really take that leap with the builders?
That's a great question. How again, how we did it.
Yeah, please. We would love to hear your examples. So it's not,
We
we understand it's
we
not for everybody, but your examples are the best case because they've worked.
yeah, for us anyway. And I think that, again, we're fighting an uphill battle now, but it wasn't as tough as it is at this moment. I believe the next 3 months, maybe four, will shift the dynamic back in our direction the way it was for 5.5, almost 6 years,
Hmm.
that the builder is looking for a way to differentiate in a market where we build 50,000 houses a year. There aren't many places in the country that can put that kind of volume on the ground 10 years in a row and
Hmm.
still way too much land available. Right? Witness the fact that if you, and I saw this on the news today, 45% is the cost of a house higher than it was 5 years ago. 45%. And 36%, well, it won't even go through all the numbers. Suffice to
It's a
say,
lot.
the costs of buying these things are higher, and it's because we got used to better margins and constraints of other things. And so the builder has shifted their focus, and they're now focused on just getting it in as inexpensively as possible and keeping their margins where they got used to just a few short years ago. I think
Hmm.
that's going to change. I think costs are settling back down and disruptors are moving into the market and beginning to build $300,000 houses again, which will change the dynamic. But overall, it's twofold. It's differentiation, number one. And number two, what can you provide within the money that you're charging? So one of the focus points for us is the house is a $500,000. It's now 505,000. Nobody has ever walked away from a $500,000 house because it was $505,000.
Hmm.
The catalyst to the builder is he makes $3,000 on this package. You sell him for $2,000. And that $2,000 package goes in every house in the community and guarantees him a free one in the model. So he's able, just like wire or doors or windows, to calculate its cost in the overall picture for the amount of lots they're building in that particular community. So that's the first part, is you have to make it as important as any device they need to put that house on the ground, and you have to make it affordable to the point where they make money. One example there was when we offered it as upgrades.
Hmm.
If the purchase was wire upgrades, the builder got 30% of that purchase. If the purchase was hardware upgrades, the builder got 20% of that purchase. So if it was a $10,000 hardware upgrade, the builder made another 2 grand. And our top builder brought over $100,000 in additional profit for their company just by allowing clients to roll that upgrade into their mortgage.
So
And they made
that's
money on it.
exactly, and that's the perfect thing because I was going to ask, how are we demonstrating the ROI to the builders? Because you've said, hey, it's cost. Cost is up. Cost is up. The margins are down. How do we make it more valuable? And we'd love to say they're going to install smart home technology for the sake of smart home technology. The reality is, if it's not helping their bottom line, they're just more averse to it. So to be able to overcome that, it's presenting these case studies, presenting the business model of, hey, to your point, it's a $500,000 house. You charge 505,000, and then here's how that extra 5,000 breaks down. So you as the builder get your cut, myself as the integrator get the cut. Most importantly, it's still hands off for the builder. You get to own that relationship for any future upgrades. If they're hanging and banging TVs, want another Wi-Fi access point, they want to add more brilliant devices, that can all run through you, and that's the value that you're able to provide them.
Yes, I was going to add, one of our builders also is a great case study that several of the members who listen to this might want to consider. And that is that they, by law, we have to provide everything that comes with the house prior to the closing.
Say that one more time. Sorry, David. It was a little choppy on the audio there. Say that one more
Sure.
time.
By law, when a
Hmm.
client purchases a home, prior to the closing table, everything that comes with that home needs to be in that home.
Hmm.
Meaning I'm not supposed to, by law, go in after they close and install these things that were given to them. So what we do is we'll put them all together in a gift basket. So I'll take a brilliant device, a few light switches, a door lock, a thermostat, whatever it happens to be, a leak detector, whatever we get the builder to agree on, and we put all of that literally into a gift basket. And we provide the gift basket with an invitation that says, call this number for free installation once you get settled in your new home, right? So they then take possession, and I think it's twofold. First is it gives you connection with the client after they close, number one. And number two, it gives the client a face for learning all this cool new stuff that's going to be put in their house.
Hmm.
And we all know clients may not be going to you for that. They may be hanging their own TV because they don't know any better, right? Or they have a buddy Bob who does that for a living, right? The key is just to get in front. And with that kind of strategy, we're almost always getting in front.
No, that's the right way to go about it. And of course, there's different, code and laws state by state. I'm not sure what it is here for me in California as it pertains to that, but for you in Texas, that's good to know of what you can and can't do before and after close. So for those of us that aren't in Texas, number one, know your state laws. I know for me, I always get asked around, hey, if I don't have an electrician on staff, what can I do? Certain states you can just swap out the light switch. Other states you can't. Do need an electrician on staff. Some states the electrician needs to be present, but you don't necessarily have to be an electrician. So know your state laws. I'm not the expert on all 50 states, but just different nuances to that. So that's actually really good to know for Texas because that is large market as you see thousands of homes are getting popped up. There's tons of land that it just keeps going further and further and further out. Now outside of the greater Dallas area, how far out of the greater Dallas metro are homes building now?
Oh, hour and 20 minutes easy. We're way beyond. Uh, I would say 60 to 70 miles is like the
Woo.
hotbed. Yeah, that's the hotbed. Salina, Prosper, Sherman, Van Alstyne, anything across the north side. It's crazy. By the way, I was going to mention that what you said in your previous comment was a perfect segue into POE.
Please, yeah, I'll let you talk about POE for a bit because I've already done a webinar on it. If you aren't aware, it is available for pre-order right now. Just log into your purchasing portal. You can see it. We'll be shipping in early Q1, but thrilled for POE. So I would love to hear your perspective on POE, David, just
For
because I
me,
know
it's
it's
the game.
probably something you've been asking for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's the game changer. There's no question in my mind. And several fold. First off, anybody who knows anything about Brilliant from its inception knows that when you're a slave to high voltage, you're also a slave to the problems caused by high voltage. Right? And how many times have you rebooted your computer in the course of your life when the power fluctuated or went out?
Too many.
And Brilliant ends up having to do that on a regular basis. And for a client who knows nothing about smart home, when that screen goes black, Dave's getting a phone call. The builder does not want to get a phone call. Dave gets the phone call.
Mhm.
Second, and more importantly than that, if you are connected up in any way to electricity, you're limited to where it can be. You either have to plug it in with a wire or you have to connect it where there's a light switch. So the benefit to the POE, of course, is we can put that wire anywhere. It eliminates all of the problems associated with high voltage and the need for an electrical license. And C, more importantly than that, you can now provide it in areas or ways that you never could before, meaning uh, in server rooms, network systems, tabletop remotes. I actually bought a little triangular tabletop stand for a two-gang box from
Ah.
B&H Photo in New York. And I mounted this device inside it, and it's a tabletop remote in the theater room.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah. And I think, again, all of that plays into getting it in front of the client. If it's at the wall and it's a light switch, the likelihood that they will play with it is very limited. If I can get it in front of them where they're sitting down, close to where they're, at their desk, bingo. Now it becomes something that they'll at least touch and learn
Mhm.
about. And we provide in that gift box with the devices a Lenovo tablet, be any tablet, but we do the Lenovo M11 because it's an Android operating system, Windows compliant 11-inch tab for under 150 bucks. And so we put it in there and we load up the 5 apps and we put a folder in there with all the passwords and login information for each of the devices. And the only one visible outside of those folders is the Brilliant.
Mhm.
So that becomes the primary interface.
And they just get it like, boom, here you go. That's the one experience, and voila, they see everything there.
Yeah.
Now with PoE, is that going to potentially change your approach to builders at all, or just simply give you another option? I'm curious how you plan on utilizing PoE.
It will give us another option. My belief is that the builders, in their haste to race to the bottom, have taken a lot of the mystique of technology away and have fed low voltage to the electrician who's already on site.
Hmm.
Without me being a disgruntled 50-year veteran of the consumer electronics industry who represented the top 100 integrators for a year, I will say to you that that's probably the biggest mistake, the biggest catalytic mistake you could make. And the examples I'll give are just numerous. AT&T, what qualified you to become the world's leading internet and television service because you made a phone company? And I still don't get that. And the fact that people trust them like they do. One other example, we were talking about Eero earlier, and
Hmm.
Frontier now provides Eero 7s with their service.
Hmm.
Once you change the game, for lack of a better way to put it, the customer thinks, well, why do I just go to Amazon or I'll just call Frontier and kind of get where I'm going. So I think at the end of the day, my belief here is that we as integrators have a value that no electrician or client is really aware of yet. That message is the critical one. And I tell people all the time, anybody can take a device and figure it out. Integrating all those devices from different manufacturers and different backgrounds, that's a skill.
100%.
And the guys listening in here, that's a skill that you don't advertise about yourself enough. And it's the one thing that I think gives us a competitive advantage in this new world because everybody's making their own little thing and trying to make their own little ecosystem for it to survive in. And very few of them are really talking across platform. And the example I would give is what happened to Control 4. Holy cow, right? You thought it was a good solution, and over time, it has just become something that distributors keep handing off to one another.
I I always say those systems can do absolutely amazing things when they're programmed right, installed right, and operating.
Like,
You take the time to spend with the client. But I remember going to a friend's house as a kid and I'm always up to date in tech, and I was intimidated. I'm like, I don't want to mess with it. I'm going to break their system. I don't want to touch the TV, and I'm the guy that's tinkering and tweaking and all of that stuff. But great systems, and they can offer, like, we're not going to touch TVs and inputs and volumes. So you have a job, great, go ahead and use that. It's again simplifying for the masses. And I think what's unique for us with PoE, well, first, as we look at builders, we've changed our approach just so everyone is aware. We don't sell directly to the builders now for the most part. We want to work with the integrator. So we'll pitch the builders and we'll sell the builders, but when it comes like we're going to give the product, who's your integrator? We're going to bring you into that fold. Or if you already work with the builder, we sell to you, you sell to the builder, is the idea. That way you own the relationship, you are there on site, they're your homeowner, and all of that is tied in together. But with PoE, the biggest trouble with when we sold to the builders before PoE was the electricians didn't want to install it because they didn't buy the product. Then they don't want to service it because they didn't buy the product. Then there might not be in the best practices with that handoff from the electrician to David, you and your team as the low volt team coming in. So there were a lot of pain points that, could be overcome with the proper time, but they're moving so fast they wouldn't always take that time. I think PoE offers a solution where I'm going to do another training here in the near future so everyone's aware. We can set up the PoE version of this in under 5 minutes because no longer do you need to know the type of light bulb, the wattage. Do you want to dim it? Are you in a three-way? What are the other? You don't need any of that stuff. It's create your account. It's the PoE. Scan the QR code. Done. That is as easy as it gets for setting up a system. And now we just start to tie in the Ring, the Schlage, the Yale, the Genie, the Sonos, the Somfy, you name those devices, all those pieces. And what used to take a little bit longer, and it was still a quick process, but now it's done. It's there, and place it exactly where you want to place it in the house too. So I think it's opening up another avenue in how to approach and talk to builders to let them know, hey, your electrician doesn't have to worry about it if this is like part of your strategy. So,
and I'll go twofold. Most of the electricians that are wiring the houses are using subs. The wiring scheme will change from community to community based on who the sub is. So the likelihood that there could be an error in how this device was installed or programmed is more likely. PoE, it's almost a foolproof type of device. You plug it in, you scan the code, you're done. I also want to take this opportunity to mention to you that those who don't play on the programmed recurring revenue control for Crestron, thousands of names, we can go on forever.
Hmm.
Those who don't play in that space generally play in the opposite space, which is security, where they run smart home through the security platform because the recurring revenue of security is how the business is generally evaluated. I want
Hmm.
to caution against that as well, because then it becomes another tipping point. You've taken away one or two of the benefits of having brilliant, in that it doesn't require monthly costs for you to monitor your house in order to gain the benefit and access of smart technology. Plus, what is preventing you from charging your own recurring revenue? Why am I giving the recurring revenue dollars to the alarm company or to Control 4 or to restaurant? It's like selling a service contract.
Exactly.
Provide the brilliant. There's no extra cost to you, and you pay me whatever it is, X number of dollars a year for 6 visits, or 3 visits, or 1 visit, whatever is most comfortable for that client. And in that way, you are basically providing your own insurance.
Hmm. No,
And
it's
I think
perfect.
yeah.
But even with the services that Brilliant has started to change, and we announced it at CEDIA, it's live now. Our ProView feature. So you as professional integrators, you have access to see every single home that you've installed. Your team does. So if they need help with something, you can check the status of those devices on the dashboard, see all the homes in the community. You can be aware of what's going before you roll a truck if you have to roll a truck. But maybe they call and say, hey, the motion's acting. I want to change my motion settings. I have some questions on that. You can do that remotely from the app. You don't have to roll a truck. So these are the services that you can provide that you'd be able to sell some sort of service contract for, whatever you're familiar and comfortable with, and just do it from sitting on your couch. You can handle all of that. Create the scene. They want to add scenes and automation. Do that. Hey, hey, David, I got some Philips Hue lights. Can you help me out? Sure, I can help you out. All you do is sit there, go to the Philips Hue integration, and it's going to ask them, hey, Dave, I need you to just go on your Philips Hue, just press the button on there. He goes and presses the button. Great, we added it in. Let's tie these into your scenes and your automation and everything like that. So we have just a lot of different things that are there to help you then let the builders know, hey, we can service your clients better. This is how we help you, really delight them is the idea behind it. So I see a hand is raised by Jason. Go ahead and Jason, type your question into the Q&A and we'll go ahead and get that answered. While we're talking about PoE, there was one question. So the PoE for us, the device, it will give it internet and power, but these sliders, because they're not connected to lighting loads, and this is for you, Tim, by default, when you first set it up, the first slider controls, I believe, the screen brightness. The second slider controls the volume of the speaker that's on here, just for interacting with Alexa and those devices. However, those are designed to be remapped. So if you're going to be going a PoE solution, you're going to need to have, a Sonos speaker in there so you can do the volume here. Some sort of group of lights, whether it be TP-Link, Wemo, Casa, Philips Hue, LifeX, Lutron, Caseta lighting, tie those in. So when you do the PoE solution, these are designed to be remapped is the whole idea. So that's where we're going with PoE. And now what we're also seeing, and you're probably seeing this some as well, David, other companies are moving into PoE. So the Eero solution that builders are working with, they have a PoE solution that mounts into the ceiling. Sonos, they're now Era Pro 100s. That's a PoE solution as well. So you can mount a speaker and just pull the Ethernet cord. That's part of it. Builders and Ring. Ring is a PoE doorbell. They're PoE cameras that they're coming out with. So now you, as that low voltage integrator, can also offer a complete PoE solution that is doorbell, brilliant control, music, and networking all together as one. And I'm sure if you're not an Eero person, I'm sure guarantee you there's other networking gear that's powered over PoE because that is a networking type of device. But you get the idea. This is where it's moving towards. Plus, you make money on the Cat 6. It's a lot easier to pull and drop to the exact location that you want. This is where it's starting to move towards. I'm personally starting to see more PoE lighting controls and systems that are out there. We don't tie in with any directly yet, but subject to change over time. But it's all part of the development of where the modern smart home is going and where you get to bring your expertise into saying, hey, instead of sort of piecemealing this solution, why not come together with a whole package? So to David's analogy earlier, you have all the ingredients. Don't give them the ingredients, give them the cooked, your special mac and cheese, which is better than everybody else's mac and cheese, because we know everyone's own personal recipe is the best. Preferably ones with a little crumbled bacon on top, is my idea. But I mean, does that align with kind of what you're thinking of how this moving towards, David, with PoE, not just for Brilliant, but other devices as well?
Question, the ecosystem, where if there's one thing that you can guarantee the integrators are going to be in charge of, regardless of how things shift in the world from a wired or wireless perspective, we're still the network guys.
Yeah, that's
That's where
perfect.
we'll play. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect stuff. So I want to get to one other question here before we wrap it up and get to the Q&A. Again, if you have questions, please type them in for David specifically. I'll answer if it's more Brilliant specific. But we've been partners now for as long as I've been at Brilliant, 6+ years. What can Brilliant do to help you and your business more in the future? And this can be, things that we've done, things we should continue to do, whether it be, case studies that help you. How can we support you in growing your business? What have you used from us, and what would maybe you like to see? You can call us out if there's something we need to give you that you haven't seen yet. We want your feedback. That's part of, our realignment and focus on the professional channel. So I would love to hear how we've supported you, what you've used, and also what you'd like to see us make for the future.
Sure. There's very little you haven't done. Is probably the best way for me to say that. You're one of the top three vendors I've worked with over my, long career. We'll put it that way rather than illustrious. Um, I would say there's twofold, and we started it. So it hasn't, it hasn't had time to get really hit the ground running. We started the dealer panels.
Mm-hmm.
It was at CEDIA last.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I believe that should continue. I think before Brilliant decides on a direction or a vendor that they need or an API they need to open up to, or a feature, they call in several different dealers from different market areas and get feedback as to what those priorities should be. Second, I'm the only thing I can think of selfishly that Brilliant could do to help me is allocate more people to the connection of vendor link, API connections. I think there should be 3 camera systems in there, just like there's 3 door locks, just like there's, and I think
Yeah,
security is
four
key
door
to that.
locks.
Yeah, correct. 4 door locks.
4 door locks,
Um,
3 thermostats, bunch of lights, but again, it's an ever growing. But so yeah, providing more on the security front, on the audio front, all actively what we're working on in 2026.
my last one would be some if it becomes a touchscreen type of control, meaning PoE desktop oriented, as I told you, I've already put one on a stand and stuck it in the living room. I would love to be able to gain access to some of the apps that are driven by those ecosystems, whether it be a Sony app or a Samsung app or a Denon app, so that the control wouldn't have to leave that panel to go to the tablet that I'm now providing in the gift box, right?
Or that makes sense, yeah. And there's some experiences where we do that and others where we don't yet, and that's part of the journey. But the beauty of software, how we said it's future proof in that sense, just a software update away from working with something new. So no, I appreciate that's great feedback, David. It's things that we genuinely take a care to. We want to make sure all of these partnerships they're always two-way streets. And when you have partners that are leaning in, we have to lean in back just as much, if not more, to make you successful. Because that's how you build your brand and your experience as a business, and how we build our brand and experience as a product company with you. So we know we have a heavy responsibility being the essentially engagement factor for your client, and that end user experience is going to run through us. That's why all our integrations are generally direct for the most part. So it's reliable, it's rock solid. The partners tout us. We at CEDIA, Sonos graciously let us sponsor a happy hour there to show hey, this is a fantastic solution. So they have a vested interest in us as well. So all part of it in that journey. So Michael, I see Michael Washman, you have your hand is raised. Go ahead and type it into the chat and we'll get to it. About 9 minutes left here. I do want to get to the Q&A and leave us a little bit of time here. So Adam Bressany did mention Ring Alarm. Yes, we do tie in with Ring Alarm now, which is great. I actually tied that into my system. So I have redundant systems at my home. I have my Ring Alarm Pro base station, which I can arm and disarm, and I have my Residio Total Connect system, which I can arm and disarm. So nothing like paying for two security systems in my house, overly secure. But that's live, that's available now. And of course, all those Ring cameras, Spotlight, stick up, floodlight, we can tie into it. We also tested the new 4K cameras. We can look into those as well. So all those new Ring cameras are tied in. The PoE, we answered for you there, Tim, for what the sliders do. Jason commenting, want to say how epic the dashboard is. No idea that is. So ProView, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And as it comes to managing multiple homes, so you have those multiple homes. You see there's my home, the Okimotos. I hit that little down arrow, and there's all the homes that I've been logged into and you have access to. So quickly jump from home to home. Idea Vast, I see Caseta is supported as RAW 3 on the roadmap. Great question. So Caseta and RAW 2 Select specifically, not RAW 2, but RAW 2 Select specifically can be tied into Brilliant through SmartThings right now. So it's not a direct integration. You do need the SmartThings, not necessarily the hub, because Caseta has its own hub. You do need the account. So you tie Caseta into SmartThings into Brilliant. We can discover all those lights. As far as it being on the roadmap, I can only pull back the curtain so far. I can tell you we are actively talking to Lutron. Lutron is a big, massive company, but it's something we hope to have that way for all those RAW 2, RAW 3 jobs. You still run all that lighting, but then you can do a Brilliant PoE panel on the wall, and we can be the touchscreen interface for the lighting and then tie in the rest of the devices. So no timeline on that, but we are actively talking with Lutron. Jason also commented, PoE shades more common now. Absolutely they are. PoE shades are popping up all over the place. And beyond just Serena, we do tie in with Somfy shades. You do require the Tahoma hub, which if I show you over there, it's kind of hard to see. It's a little white spot right there. So Tahoma, I have a couple PoE, or not PoE, but Somfy Tahoma shades, as well as Hunter Douglas. It would require their PowerView Gen 3 hub, but tie in all those shades. So question for Simply Safe Alarm. Again, another we've talked with, but nothing imminent at this point. We are looking for another alarm partner. We're having active conversations, but to be a large player in the space. So that way you'd have Ring Alarm, you'd have Residio, and you'd have this other one. So again, I'd love to tell you everything, but unfortunately I would get a heavy slap on the wrist if I did the whole thing. Gate control, that's another piece we're looking into a little bit further. Right now we can tie into Butterfly MX, which is more on the multifamily side, and they have gate control access. I know Genie and the overhead door company, they do have some gate solutions that are there, but no sort of specific gate, purely gate solution at the moment. I'm trying to think, David, have you done some gates? I was going to say, David, have you done some gate solutions with us?
2 years ago, I did gates with the Ring access control.
There you go.
And that dropped in.
Yeah, so if you can do it with Ring, you can dial it in and tie it in with us, which is great. Another one, if you had Wi-Fi on PoE, could it replace a Control 4 system? Theoretically, yes. You could rip out that stuff, chuck us in there. Of course, you want to make sure the sizing is correct for where it's going on the wall. So the Brilliant PoE is the size of the 2-gang. From the front, it's going to look exactly like this. The back will just have a spot to plug in the Ethernet cord. So a standard 2-gang box, you don't even have to bolt it into a beam. They make those 2-gang boxes for low volt gear that I think when you screw it, there's screws on the back that tighten it against the wall. So just go ahead, David.
Called a retro ring.
There you go. See, you're the expert, not me. It's the
right. They make them in 2-gang. It's
They make them in. I think I know they make them in 1-gang because I did it when I mounted my TV to thread the HDMI through the wall. But they make them in 2G as well. And then right now it says right now
at Home Depot that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we keep Home Depot in business.
That's right.
Right now, it can only have 4 buttons on the screen. Is there a way to add more? Maybe have them get smaller as you add more scenes and controls? Great question. So right now, it is just the 4 shortcut tiles, and that's a sticker that are on there. We've noodled on feedback of, hey, maybe this whole screen are your scenes, then you swipe as you would on your iPhone, as opposed to having the scrolling carousel on bottom. Or maybe we have different windows right here. So you still have the carousel, but just have more windows of different 4. Something we're thinking about, something we're exploring, but I wouldn't say to expect that anytime soon. But Michael, if you're seeing that, If you have a lot of dealers like yourself, a lot of homeowners that would think they'd benefit from it, keep pummeling us with that feedback. Because if that's something that yourself, a lot of the other dealers here, they're experiencing, like, man, that would be great. It's something we can always build in the future. Another one, conversation's been started with Shelly. Yeah, if you're not familiar with Shelly, Shelly, a great company. They make a bunch of relays that we can tie in with. We can tie in with Shelly through SmartThings right now. So if you are using any Shelly devices that kind of hide in the gang box, you can use Shelly devices as a relay for really anything with an on-off switch to tie it into Brilliant. So if you haven't seen the video of our Park City, Utah home, stunning $15 million home, we can use Brilliant to turn on the driveway heaters to melt the snow and the roof heaters to melt the snow. That's done through a relay. Turning on a fireplace, that's done through a relay. Turning on a hot tub, that's done through a relay. So all these different devices with an on-off can be tied in through a relay like Shelly. So, but no, well, conversations are always being had, great dialogue with them, and hopefully it evolves into something more. IC real time, nothing with IC real time right now. We are exploring a more traditional security option for you beyond just the integrations with like Ring and Arlo. So would love your feedback. If you're using more IC real time, maybe it's OnVIF. We want as much feedback as possible to see what you're using out in the field, and that's what we'll generally try and dial into. So something we're looking into for 2026 is to give you another sort of camera solution there, and then also use it for gates as well. So bunch of different questions. That was great. Really good conversation, David. I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, you're a very busy man. You're getting phone calls left and right. So I want to thank you so much for not just your hopping on the call, but your support of the brand as well over the years. You've been a great partner. I hope we have supported you in that same manner. But with that, I don't see any more questions popping in. For all the attendees, thank you so much. This session was recorded, so if you do have team members that you'd like to see, other partners that are out there, we'll get this link of the recording out to you. If you do have any questions, we do have an asset library. You can check out pro.brilliant.tech. As a pro site, you can check previous webinars, links to assets and resources for you. If you want training and education that runs through myself, I'd be happy to set that up and organize it with you. If you have a client that wants a demo, I'll give you the demo of my house that you've probably seen. Happy to help you secure all that business. So with that, David, any closing words here as we have a minute left, less than?
You're great. I appreciate the time. If anybody would like to reach me, they can get in touch with me afterwards. Either email david@esdtech.org or get in touch with Ryan and he'll forward you my phone.
Who's Ryan? I only go by
That's
Oko.
right. That's
So
right.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. A great holiday season. If we don't talk to you before, have a great new year as well. So with that, take care.